You're watching America's Forum on Newsmax TV. Texas Governor Rick Perry says the state's Attorney General Greg Abbott wasn't making a dare but a promise against the federal government in a brewing land rights dispute. Perry told Fox News Channel's Neil Cavuto that Abbott is on the right side of this issue.
I don't think Americans want to see another one of these exhibitions from the federal government of them coming in with armed troops over an issue that ought to be taken care of with a little common sense.
Abbott voiced his concerns about the agency trying to take over 90,000 acres of land along the Red River from private citizens. He told Breitbart, Texas, he's ready to go to the Red River and raise a come and take it flag to tell the feds to stay out of Texas. Well, you've heard from Governor Rick Perry. Let's go straight to the source, Texas Attorney General Greg Abbott. Give us the lowdown on this. Exactly what transpired to signal this tripwire and get you involved in this case?
Well, my office at the Attorney General's office in Texas has received several concerns through letters and complaints through letters from constituents here in Texas, as well as lawyers who represent constituents in Texas, raising concerns about what the Bureau of Land Management is doing about trying to seize or just take control of property that belongs to private property owners here in the state of Texas. And this is just completely bizarre because this is property, so people can understand, that is along the Red River. The Red River is the dividing line between Texas and Oklahoma. And for decades, if not for a century, this property has been defined by law as being either belonging to Texans or to Oklahomans. And now, suddenly out of nowhere, the federal government is coming in saying, well, some of this property belongs to the federal government as opposed to either Texans or Oklahomans. And we're saying that this is a federal land grab of land that belongs to private property owners in the state of Texas, and we are not going to put up with the federal government coming into the state of Texas and taking our property.
So it's a variation on a border dispute, not an international border, but the state line there on the Red River involving Texas and Oklahoma, and our viewers can see that right now. Now, did the feds did BLM go to individual landowners saying, hey, we're going to have to come in here, or what exactly triggered this suspicion among your Texas constituents, Greg?
Well, part of the problem has been the mysterious way and the undercover of darkness way that the BLM has been operating, because they began this process cloaked in mystery where they said they were going to be gathering some information for surveying purposes and for study purposes about a certain property without disclosing what they were really up to. Then only over the past few months did it become clear that they are contemplating taking about 90,000 acres of private property land on the Texas side of the Red River, private property that belongs to ranchers and farmers who have been working that area for decades and actually paying taxes on that property for decades. And so, to be honest, even as we speak today, we're uncertain about what the BLM's intention is. What we have seen in response to my letter to the BLM is acting like this is property or land that has always belonged to the federal government. And I got to tell you for a fact, it has not always belonged to the government. In fact, it has never belonged to the federal government. And so most of us are just, frankly, stunned about this bold attempt by the federal government to come in and grab land that belongs to Texans. This violates the rule of law. This violates private property rights. This is a federal government run amok, and we're just not going to put up with it.
So what happens next, General? Obviously, you're the chief law enforcement officer in the state of Texas, but do you get with your congressional delegation and 2 senators to draft legislation, or what do you think is next in this fight with the Bureau of Land Management?
Well, first, the legislation has already passed, and this is part of the key to all this, and that is it was the Bureau of Land Management itself that said in the mid-1990s that no one will ever really know the details about how this land is to be defined, about which state owns this land, unless and until Congress passes a law defining it. And so after that, the states of Texas and Oklahoma got together. We formed a compact that we then gave to the United States Congress, that the United States Congress passed in the year 2000. And so all that stuff about Congress passing a law, that's already been done, and that already defined who owned what property. And it was after that now that the BLM is coming in saying that they have a right to some of this property. So where do we go from here? Where we go is, first, we fired off this letter to the BLM to get answers from them about exactly what they are up to, about exactly what property they are claiming as theirs, and certain other questions that we need to have answered. So this is our first step in gathering information from the Bureau of Land Management to clear up some of the vagueness that they have inserted into this situation. And then second, based upon their answers to the question, we could be headed down the pathway towards filing a lawsuit against the Bureau of Land Management to quiet title, to get the federal courts to say that the BLM has absolutely no right to take this property from private property owners in the state of Texas.
Greg, about a little more than a minute we have left with you, and we thank you for your time. Just one quick question. Also yesterday, the man you hope to succeed as governor, Rick Perry, is quoted as saying, "I have sympathy for illegal workers here in the United States to feed their families." Greg, what's your position as the Attorney General and a gubernatorial hopeful in Texas? What should we be doing about our borders?
Well, I believe in the rule of law across the board. I believe in a robust legal immigration system, and I believe that any law, whether it be the immigration system or any other law that is broken, needs to be enforced. The truth is, though, that the state of Texas, like many other states, but maybe the state of Texas more so than any other state, are dealing with the problems of a broken immigration system. And so we are demanding that the federal government step up and fix this problem. The state of Texas is spending millions upon millions of dollars coming out of our pockets, the taxpayers' pockets of the state of Texas, to try to deal with the consequences of a broken immigration system.
And we'll have to leave it there. We very much appreciate your time. Greg Abbott, the Attorney General of the state of Texas. He says it's a matter of law and order. What do you think? We're happy to have you weigh in via social media. Stay tuned. There's more to come on America's Forum.